Yeah, I think that's the answer. It has to get done. We have the seeds in place right now. We know we want entering kindergartners to have strong preschool experience. We know that you need to be reading by 3rd grade. We know that 8th grade algebra and making sure you're getting ready for high school. We know the benchmarks. We know that we've said every student in San Francisco should have the choice to go to college and be prepared with PhD and open arms. I think we have the framework in place in San Francisco and partnerships and the clear structures thanks to the leadership, frankly, of our current school board. But the next level is to do it. And how to do it means every year the school board should be accountable to looking at the data of the progress and saying, okay, this is the benchmark we set for ourselves. How far have we gotten? What's the student input? Are you saying that we're implementing A to G, but frankly, I'm not choosing to go to college because it's not, this isn't working for me? What is our teacher input? How are the teachers feeling about the support they're getting in their professional development? So the role of the board is to make sure that we're implementing these policies faithfully, and you, as students and families and teachers of the school community, is getting the feedback necessary to adjust, to make sure that the gaps that we reveal are addressed. Secondly, I just wanted to say that as a community, we need to be working to address the problems at the state level. So some of our problems are happening because the state is not adequately funding counselors. So I can see us as a whole community working really hard to advocate at the state level.
Let's finish these questions first.
It's a very good question because I've been through the college application process with my son, and I would hate to think of any student, high school student, having to do that without a counselor. And it would be naive to think that they would be in an extreme disadvantage if they had to negotiate that whole process on their own. It's very complex. It's very difficult to do it on your own. And what I think the district really needs to do is have communication, ongoing pathways from the teacher to the principal to the district at regular intervals so you can go back over a period of a few months and assess who's not doing well, who needs the extra help, where are the resources falling short, and get in there quickly and give the resources to the high schools that don't have them when they need them. And if you don't have those open channels of communication, too much time lapses, and the consequences are too great for us to allow that. So I think the district has to just commit to a schedule of communication, starting from the ground up, adhere to it, and be prepared to act when one school is falling behind or falling short of resources.
You've raised one of the most important issues that we have to look at as a district, that's equity, equal access to opportunity, and it's a huge issue. I just learned a statistic today that 27% of our students actually have some kind of post-secondary degree within 5 years after they graduate, but only 9 and 7% of African American and Latino students have it. So clearly, we have a huge issue, and it plays out in the schools and in the demographics of the schools. And it isn't equal. And we all know it isn't equal. Some students have access to a level of college preparation and college counseling and college access that many students on the east side of town, for instance, that don't have. I am deeply committed to changing that. And I think that one of the things that the school board has to do regularly is an absolute annual audit of who's got what resources, so that we can, every time we do the budget, make sure that they are equitably placed around the district. And I do think it does raise the issue of funding. And I have probably had more experience than most people in the city in terms of getting adequate funding for our schools. And that's another part of the solution, which is to be in Sacramento and be in City Hall and really fight for more funding so that that all our schools can have adequate counselors, college access, and the things that our students need to really address this horrible inequity that we are now facing.
Thanks. I just wanted to talk about this point around SATs, because I got a 780 on my verbal for all the good it did. Probably the best way to be ready for the SAT is to be good at math and English. So having a counselor in the school is one part, but we sit kids in front of tests every day who don't know any of the content and expect the results to change. We keep testing people, but we don't put resources where the test scores are low. So the test scores were low for a while. The Obama administration wants to have a grant program or do something else, but you actually need to go back and make sure the students where test scores are low are learning math and English. It's one of the things that I think at the school board that a number of commissioners have been really committed to is addressing this issue of equity. We're not going to track students and say that some are going to college and some are not, so only some need to learn certain things and some don't. And I think those are steps in the right direction. But ultimately, it comes down to resources. And if we're going to have all this testing data, if we're going to make everybody in this room and students in Mafia take a test every day, every hour, we should use those results for something worthwhile. And it means investing in those schools where the test scores are lower to raise the results so that by the time people are taking the SAT, that they can get a good result. And then just adding on college counselors, obviously equitable access is important. If they're not at the school site, there has to be some way for the central office to give every family where they want to go